Hello, family, and welcome once again. My name is Richard. I'm a former IT professional, and I turned to the trades. I'm a current diesel mechanic. So I am noticing just around you're watching a lot of videos. I'm sure a lot of you guys are watching it as well. But it feels like we're entering what the Bible called the 7 years of lean time, 7 difficult years that make it seem like the years that were before this never existed. And you're seeing that more and more. You're seeing with people with they're losing jobs. You see people who are working gig apps and they're not making any money. Right now it feels like a time where it's everyone needs to lean on each other. It's if you have family, while once upon a time it was cool to live on your own, to do your own thing, it doesn't feel like that anymore right now. It feels like it's a time where, you know, if you're a young lady, you need to be in your parents' home. If you're, a man, you need to find whether it's friends or family to kind of lean on, because things are very difficult. I'm watching a lot of videos on YouTube. I'm seeing people who are going through some very difficult times right now, and it just seems like, where does this turn around? Even if AI is not all that it's cracked up to be, those who are in charge are so hell-bent on, you know, efficiency and, cost cutting, that they would easily just rather just ship a lot of these positions overseas right now. So I'm in a point right now where looking forward, it feels like we're going back in time. With all of the technology advancing, it feels like it's kind of being automated, taken out of our hands for the most part, and kind of pushed back in time. It feels like we're going from the 2000s to the 90s to the 80s to the 70s. And I think, while some will tell you run to the trades, I'm thinking more of find a space that you can live on. A lot of places around the country, you in your sun belts, you're in the Midwest, you can find a piece of land for 3,000, 4,000, or even less in a lot of different places. So finding somewhere that will allow you to put your car on. A lot of people talking about van life, they're talking about this, they're talking about that. But just making sure you're able to live somewhere and kind of building from there. So if you could, even if you, there still seems like there's some jobs out there, while it may be difficult, some opportunities, but just having somewhere where you can plant your flag and to call home, even if it's not really a home right now, I think it's the move. For ourselves, we sold our home recently. I was living in my home, and I thought about it. I was like, you know what, I can't picture myself paying $2,000 per month to someone, for the next 30 years of my life, and just kind of come on this journey here right now in terms of looking for land, looking for opportunities on how we can move forward with that. It is a time right now, and for those of us who hear it, who see it, some people are still kind of believing that everything will kind of go back to normal, and it doesn't seem like that's the case. The more AI is studied. I say it all the time, you have the most intelligent people in the world all working on the same idea: how to automate the jobs of people, how to continue cutting fat from the workforce. And eventually, for many people who want to stay in the city, it's going to be a continued deterioration in terms of their living standards. For those who are seeking, I'm not sure if you guys are watching, but it seems like every other video right now, people who are wealthy or whatever, you're seeing them out in the country. They're establishing themselves further and further away from civilization, and kind of building out their own ecosystem where they're more or less unreachable. We're heading to, somebody I listened to said it all, we're heading to the Gilded Age, and it feels like that for sure, where the lords and the noble people, nobility, they're living out in the country. When you see in places like France and in England, they have all of these large chateaus. That seems like what is coming back to, where people are going to be moving further and further out. What's happening right now is a lot of the land purchases are being done. You hear a lot of different companies are building. You have data centers that are being built in the middle of nowhere. So the opportunities that were obvious, okay, I'm going to move out of this area, I'm going to move further away, they're out there. They're slowly occupying those spaces little by little as well. So kind of putting it where people can't can't live in the city because it's too expensive, and then they can't live out in the country because they're buying up all the land. So it is up upon us to make sure that we are getting these things done as quickly as possible to make sure that we're thinking ahead, because it's not just us that we're worried about, especially those of us who are parents. We have to make sure that we are, preparing our lives as best as possible for the coming generation, because things don't look great at the moment. But, what are your thoughts on this comment? Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day.